Sunday doubleheader in the USL Super League starts in the nation's capital. DC Power FC take on Brooklyn FC at Audi Field. Alongside former U.S. international Casey White, I'm Jack Edwards here in the broadcast booth on Peacock. These two teams meet for the third time already this season, first time in the spring, flashing back to a series history in October. A first ever win for DC Power came courtesy of a 98th minute own goal from Kelsey Hill. They took that first match. Then 1 month later, they would meet again, but it'd be a win this time for Brooklyn, and a hat trick from Juan Grabias, the fastest in league history, taking just 13 minutes to score 3 goals in the second meeting between these two sides. They come into this one. It's been interesting form, Casey, for Brooklyn, a struggle since the spring has come around.
It has been really difficult for them, and throughout a 10-month season, you can go through these ebbs and flows as a team, but one thing they need to really be concentrated on is that goals conceded of 12. They're still getting the expected goals of a high number, but when you're giving up as many goals as they are, it's going to be really hard to come by 3 points in this league.
Scored 1 goal against 3.89 expected, and for them to get themselves into winning ways again, you imagine Juan Grabias had a hat trick when they last met. It'd be big for her to get back into goals.
When she is firing on all cylinders, she's incredibly effective in and around the penalty box. She's also contributed 2 assists on the season as well, so there's going to be a lot of concentration on her, but she's very good at figuring out also when to pass the ball off and contribute with other players around her.
Now looking on the home side of things for DC Power FC, it's been a big change since the fall. You look at the number of goals scored and conceded, much higher in comparison to the per game numbers in the fall.
More goal scorers already this spring with 5, and more goals, almost equaling their total from the entirety of the fall. It's the goals conceded again with 8 set-piece goals and making some mistakes in the back. If they can tighten that up, they can definitely benefit more from their goal-scoring ways.
Looking at some individuals, Gianna Gurley coming in the mid-season break from Fort Lauderdale United. She's got a goal contribution in all 3 of her games, 2 goals and an assist up front.
The verticality that she brings this team is extremely dangerous and entertaining. She loves to run in behind. She doesn't take a lot of touches in and around the box, so she's incredibly efficient and just very technically good with her execution in and around the penalty area.
See it right there with that outside of the boot finish against Spokane. That made it a 2-1 game, but they fell in that match 3-2 last weekend. As for Brooklyn, they're coming off a midweek defeat against Dallas Trinity, looking to reestablish themselves atop the USL Super League standings with a match against bottom place DC Power. Lineups and kickoff from Audi Field on the other side of this break.
We all have goals. But let's be honest, most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
I said what I said. I'd rather be famous instead.
Super League from Audi Field, DC Power taking on Brooklyn FC, and we're just moments away from kickoff. Alongside Casey White, Jack Edwards here with you in the broadcast booth. We can look at the lineups. First off, for DC Power FC, coming off a 3-2 defeat at Spokane in heartbreaking fashion in extra time. 4 changes made by Phil Nana.
And they'll come out in this 4-2-3-1. Watch for Anna Bagley off that left back role, just to play in a more advanced position, trying to create overloads in the wide area with Cujo and Abera. Giyu will play in that attacking midfield role. She'll look to really combine in that area. And we mentioned it earlier, Gianna Gorley is the player to watch. She will be looking to get in behind the back line and create opportunities for DC Power.
4-2-3-1 for DC Power FC. For Brooklyn FC, third match in a week. They played on Wednesday against Dallas. Fell in that one 3-0, 3 changes for Jess Silva.
And they'll be in the 3-5-2. Kelsey Hill, really important. We talked about her in the captain's role, just settling this team in the form that they're in right now. Sam Kroger really pulls the strings in midfield. But watch for Mackenzie George and Grace Philpotts in those wide channels. They love to get in line, create services, create chances, and they love the advanced position of really joining along that front line.
3-5-2 shape for Brooklyn FC under Jess Silva, looking for a 10th win on the season. They're still in second place, Casey. It's been a tough spell, but right still in the mix at the top of the table. 3 points today would push them to the top against a DC side sitting bottom. 3 points for them could really begin to kickstart the final stretch of the season.
It really can, and you mentioned it. It's about how you look at it. Brooklyn's still sitting in a really good position. It's just figuring out how to turn some of those opportunities into goal. And for DC Power, with Phil Nana as their head coach, just coming in, trying to get that first win, just tweaking things just a little bit to turn those losses into 3 points.
Phil Nana at the helm. The 2 teams out on the field. DC Power, Brooklyn FC. Showed you in the open the 2 meetings so far this season. They've both been split. The away teams taking the 3 points on the previous 2 occasions between these 2 teams. Jamie Padilla, our head official. Our 4th official, Gary Gutierrez, getting in the way on that camera shot. Luana Grabias. Grabias in the center circle right now. Grabias will get us going. Heading from right to left in the gray kits are the visitors, Brooklyn FC. A ball that rolls out of play for a first throw-in for DC Power FC in the black kits with the blue shoulders. Moved along centrally. Giyu, it's a little too heavy for her. Alongside Casey White, Jack Edwards are beaming smiles in the top left of your screen.
Happy to be here.
Happy to be here. It's going to be an interesting matchup between these 2 teams. Both looking for a first win in the spring. Talking to Jess Silva, interesting that doesn't feel that necessarily tactical overhauls are needed after 3 consecutive defeats, but just a mentality thing maybe at this point of the year.
Yeah, it can be incredibly difficult to go through harder stretches, but you don't want to get too up when everything's going perfectly. You don't want to get too down. You want to stay really dedicated to your principles, your style of play, and that's something she really wants to reinforce with her team, is that between the boxes, she's been very happy with how they've played. It's just figuring out in and around there how to get those opportunities.
Amani in the box. It's dealt with there, cleared up field. Loose ball won back by Brooklyn. Moved along the header by Bagley. We mentioned her in the lineup coming in. She was a halftime change in the match against Spokane, and maybe her first touch of the match in the 50th minute, just crashing the box, able to get a tap in home for an equalizer. They're hopeful that her runs forward will be able to make an impact.
Well, I think for Bagley, you mentioned her looking to get into the box, and that's something that DC Power has shown. They are committing more numbers forward in the spring season and getting more goals. It's just finding that balance of both to really be able to get the wins and put that on the table.
Gay under a bit of pressure, puts this one upfield. Moved back, and Bagley able to clip that ball forward. Gurley trying to create something out of nothing. Creates a throw-in. Gianna Gurley, 24-year-old forward, scored on her debut against Carolina Ascent. Assisted Loza Abera the match after that, scoring against Spokane. The most recent match, it's been exactly what you want. You bring in a forward in the midseason, gets right involved in the goals.
It's exactly what you hope for when you make those decisions as a club, and you want a player that not only gets that first initial goal so they feel comfortable, but they're just always looking to be a difference maker. And I think that's what we see in Gianna Gorley. She wants to be that player, and she looks like she feels comfortable.
In the midfield, DC Power. Constant, the captain. There's Conte, Tries a line-breaking pass, flicked along with the first touch by Kurosaki. Back now to Martinez. Philpotts loses out. Opportunity now Kurosaki has the run ahead of her from Friesz. This one rolled top of the box. Maybe a chance to lay it back off to Kurosaki. Her pass behind Ibarra. Some quick one-touch passing, but it goes through to Martinez.
Well, I like the distances between the players of DC Power. When they get in that final third, there's about 5 to 7 yards between them. It's going to allow for more combination play in the area. The technical execution a little bit off, but you can see how they're wanting to combine.
3.5 minutes down. Martinez, that pass clipped out to George. Did it go out of play? Referee says yes, it did, blowing her whistle. It's going to throw in on this near side. We've seen Martinez with a bit of playing out from the back, and it's something we were discussing before this match, Casey. What happens when playing out from the back goes wrong? And that's what happened against Dallas Trinity on Wednesday. The first 2 goals coming directly from errors made by Martinez. When you're trying to build out from the back as a tactic and you make mistakes like that, what changes, if any, do you have to make?
It's incredibly hard because ultimately it's an individual mistake, and across time, those things are going to happen. But what you hope is, if that's part of your philosophy, that it's going to be better for you long term. And so I don't see anything changing with that. It's just looking at film, decision making, continuing to just make the better, more high quality decisions out of the back. Because as a pro, you can't afford those mistakes at this level, but they do happen and you've got to move forward.
Basically what Jess Silva echoed talking to her this week, recognizing that errors are just part of the game, especially when we take this high-risk tactic, playing out from the back. They're scoreless in their last 4 games, Brooklyn are. But still in a spot. If they win here today, Casey, they go right back to the top of the table. Jess Silva looking on the road.
So much can change just by getting a positive result when you're in the place that they are right now. But like you said, we talk about their current form, but they're still in second place, and so they've got to be happy with that. The coaching staff has to be echoing it and saying, hey, next game, let's just tighten things up, continue to play. Things are going to go our way at some point if we continue with our philosophy and identity.
Brooklyn at the back. Martinez gets that one out into the midfield. That's out a good option. Philpotts playing rather high up, rolls it for George, coming back from a deeper position. George has a few options inside the box on her left foot. Low across the area, a chance on the rebound, put just over. Salma Amani, a great opportunity to open the score, and the shot goes just over.
Well, and this is the efficiency in the final third that's needed from Brooklyn. I love how many numbers are in the box, though. The combination of George and Philpotts is incredibly dynamic. This is what you want. Going in the 1v1, gets it on her left foot, just plays a very good ball across. The near post run, that's what you want your players to do because it sets up perfectly for Amani. She's got to get this on frame and keep it low, and instead goes for power.
Goes for power, goes over the net. Best chance of the match by far up to this point for Amani, making her first start for Brooklyn FC. One of a few changes made in between games. Gourley gets a toe in, but not able to win the ball back for DC Power. Tight pressure put on, and the support from Kurosaki comes in. Kurosaki trying to get it out to the far side. Ibarra a touch along for Bagley. Ibarra makes the run forward, clipped, aiming for Gourley. Make life difficult, and it's seen out of play. It's going to be a goal kick. Really frustrated at that one. Touched on Gianna Gourley. Made 9 appearances with Fort Lauderdale United back in the fall season, but has come into big effect, trying to keep things going for a DC Power side that in their last 3 in the spring, a 3-all draw at Carolina, 2-1 defeat against Lexington, and then conceded a 93rd minute winner at Spokane last Saturday. Games that have all been really tightly decided have gone against DC Power. Ibarra in the channel, her right foot, lays it off to Bagley. Good tracking back done by Brooklyn to win the ball back. Strong challenge put in by Conte. Cujo has the run from Bagley at the end line. It takes a deflection, still in the box, but pushed away. Saw success on Brooklyn's left-hand side, making that opportunity. A similar thing here, Brooklyn driving up the field. If he was playing advantage, will in the end give a free kick. 7.5 minutes down, it's a free kick going Brooklyn's way.
I like this play by Amani, though, because she has to outplay in the 1v1. When you're defending in your box and there's really good box organization, the higher up players have to be able to possess to allow Brooklyn to come out. She does a really good job not only doing that, but drawing the foul.
Rolled into the channel, too heavy, aiming for the run of Philpotts. Runs out of play. Grace Philpotts coming in the mid-season. Just opportunity for all these clubs to make slight tweaks. We've seen what Phil Nana's done with DC Power, but Philpotts, a great 2 years with Kentucky, was all SEC first team in 2024. Making a first start now here today on this left-hand side for Brooklyn.
Well, what she can really bring to this team is she loves to get in line, and her service from wide areas is incredibly efficient. She did it all throughout her collegiate career. So bringing that in, we saw it from Mackenzie George getting there, but I think we'll also see it from Philpotts as this game continues and they get runners into the box.
8 assists across 2 seasons with Kentucky. Was with DePaul 3 years before that. Great collegiate career, making over 80 appearances now in the professional ranks. Second appearance overall, first as a starter. Big pressure put in there. Brooklyn win it back. Rolled into the path of Kroger, trying to keep that one alive. And in doing so, concedes. A goal kick. Kroger diving in. Even share of possession in the early stages. Jess Silva, kind of a frustrated figure. Maybe felt that should have been a corner kick. I wonder that chance from Amani that we had in the early stage of the game. It's one of those where if you're in a different stretch of form, maybe that one's ripping in the back of the net.
Well, and that's a momentum changer, and it's incredibly big, because you're right. If that goes in, it's almost like everything gets released of the pressure of the last couple of weeks, and you go, okay, we can do this, and that confidence comes from it. So they can't focus on that now. It's over, but it really is something that could be a difference maker for them.
Brave a goldfish needed in the attacking areas. Holding out from the back now. George. Captain Kelsey Hill. Goalkeeper Sydney Martinez making an 11th start of the campaign. Coming along with that ball. It's knotted down. One for Bagley to contest for. Flicks on the header, but it's seen out of play.
And I don't mind Martinez going long on that, because we've already seen in the first 10 minutes a couple times where she's gotten very close in possession. So as she's gaining her confidence back, not only just to be safe, but a level of unpredictability that I can go long and they might drop off a little, then we can play out of the back, which is what Brooklyn likes to do.
Right now, building out. Touch there, Ibarra putting some pressure on. Drop of the shoulder, it's played up to Philpotts. Returned back to the wing back, but cut out. Now was Friez. Chance to play one forward for Gurley. Gets a head up, has a run centrally from Ibarra, but the pass blocked by Hill, and Martinez falls on it.
What we're seeing from DC Powers, they're pushing Kurosaki a little bit higher in possession. This is a great decision from Martinez to spring George. That's something she's going to have to do if they're going to press too high.
George just drops that one into the channel. It angles too far out for a throw-in. That's a great point you make. If they're going to put those 2 players high, the space out wide might be there.
Because what they're doing is dropping Gorley in more as a 10, as an attacking center midfielder off the press. And Ibarra and Kurosaki are high. So it matches up with the center backs in the 4-back for Brooklyn. And so your outside backs are the players that they can spring and try to build out with.
Gurley comes onto it. Her pass blocked. It rolls into the midfield. Chance for Garziano to try and spray one. Goes back. George.
You can see a good picture of those 3 pressing right there with Gorley central, and again finding George in this outside channel. Just that technically has to be better, because she's going to be having the pressure from the outside back, but they can play out from there with a 3v2.
Fitch. Friez. Good first touch there from Kurosaki to bring it under her spell, and rolls it back. Fitch, now Kurosaki gets it again in the midfield, outside of the boot, has an option forward. The touch a little heavy from Giyu. That's going to be a free kick going. That's DC Power going Brooklyn's way. Kurosaki just stepping in a little too much, making a 13th appearance on the season. And a more forward-facing role in this match for the home side. Throw in now for DC Power. A little too heavy, aiming for Gurley there, Abera. Long ball forward, the header down. Long ball forward by Fitch. It's going to drop. Abera trying to make life difficult, but Martinez, with the help of her defender, claims.
One of the things that they're going to have to be really careful of, and you see it there, if the decision is to go long by Cindy Martinez, they have to pick up first and second balls or get numbers behind in transition, because DC looked like they had a lot of space to take advantage of.
Referee was playing advantage. We'll pull it back for a foul against Carly Frias, making a second consecutive start. Frias is. See Susanna Fitch playing in a right back role again. 18 starts for the fullback. Poked out of play. Thought about the long throw, opts for the shorter option. Brooklyn do. Abera on the turn, taken off her foot. Midfield trying to cut a pass was Jessica Garziano. Bagley, her pass taken over. 3 in the attack now for Brooklyn. Good first touch there from Philpott to try and move it into some space. Support defense able to come across. Kurosaki, Bagley, returns to Kurosaki. It's a nice movement through the midfield for DC Power, but that pass rolling a little heavy. Able to step forward.
But I like the combination play from DC Power. That's something that Phil Nana wanted to see a little more of, was not rushing to go forward so much, keeping a bit more possession in the middle third, enjoying the ball, and having those longer spells where they can make Brooklyn shift and move.
Felt the match against Spokane was too transitional, going from end to end. Wanted to see a bit more patience and trust in his side's ability to progress with the ball, rather than having to sprint forward. That's going to be a foul going against Brooklyn. Select is the official match ball supplier of the USL Super League and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select products, specials, and more. Select is the player's choice. Pulled forward, a dangerous ball aiming for Gurley. Gets onto it, but the flag had gone up for offside.
And it did look just maybe like a half yard, a shoulder in behind there. But this is the verticality that I really like to see from Gurley, and she provides something a little different, especially as she's starting a little bit more in a midfielder position, kind of in that false 9, but still looking to penetrate in behind.
Fired out by Martinez. Picks out George. Garziano, ball over the top, the touch capitalized on. Rolling there, trying to get onto it was Amani, not able to get there. Cujo to it first, Bagley.
Well, DC Power is in a back 3, and so that area in the wide channel is something they can really take advantage of and try to get it in transition.
Rolled forward. Offside flag goes up. Again, going against DC Power. Out of play for a DC Power throw-in. 17 minutes down, the best chance going the way of Salma Amani. It's really the only major chance we've seen so far, Casey. Both teams still growing into the game. Frias back to Fitch.
You almost get the sense that they're trying to figure out some spaces that they can take advantage of because each team coming out a little bit differently. But in the 3-back of DC Power, you can see why they don't want it to be a transitional game, because if the wing backs are high, you can take advantage of that space in behind. So they want to control it as much as possible.
Friesz in a good amount of space, can pick her head up and try a pass over the top, flicked along. Ibarra gets onto it. She was offside. There were a few players queuing up for that ball, trying to get on the end of it. Ibarra, who got onto it, offside.
This is one of the things that's really interesting is you have to wonder, okay, is it just that organized of a back line, or are they getting a little bit lucky? Because it doesn't look like they're aware of some of the runs that are going off the backside shoulder, but they are holding tight with the line and drawing the offside.
Scooped up over the top, aiming for Philpotts, gets onto it, fires one into the area. It's pushed away. Corner to come. First one of the match conceded by Susanna Fitch. Here in the 19th minute, opportunity. Amani standing over this corner kick. Amani puts one in the 6-yard box, not fully punched away. Trying to just keep that alive, pushed away again by Ibarra. Fully dealt with, maybe a chance to put it back in the mix. We'll opt for the shorter ball. Touch there, heavy, out for a DC Power throw-in. Corner again to look at this one. Just a half punch here from Gay.
And really good from Adelaide Gay there, just to get it out of the area, not just to get to it, but get it beyond. And the second opportunity, this defending set pieces has to be important for DC Power. It's something that Philnana talked about too, wanting to be better in that area.
Top of the box, Philpotts being stood off. She generated an angle for herself, moves it along onto the left foot, gonna put one towards goal. It's no nonsense, blocked by Fitch, didn't take any sort of risk there. The ball into the channel being chased down by Gurley. Kept in play, rolled back to Martinez. Something that Philnana did talk about was trying to avoid conceding set pieces, penalties. It was a penalty that was the equalizer for Amina Ekic last weekend, and then they conceded a free kick in the 92nd minute, converted by Ekic in the 93rd. That ended up seeing them get no points from Spokane, just those small mistakes costing them.
Well, I can see what he meant by it's all linked together, is if it's a transitional game, you're chasing. You're chasing the game, you might be out of position and then having needless fouls, and then you're giving up fouls as you're chasing. So he wanted to get the foot on the ball, control it a little bit more, and just have some better technical defending as well.
Great touch from Bagley. You see him say, how? There goes an offside going against DC Power on that instance. They've been frustrated with the amount of offsides going against them. It was a brilliant touch from Bagley, but her run had started in an offside position. Rolled forward. First minute here, a foul going against DC Power. The home side growing a little frustrated with some of these offside calls. It's the marginal decisions, marginal calls that I think both teams really feel haven't gone their way.
Right, and I was an attacking player. I never thought I was offside, so I don't mind it. It's a little bit of passion, a little competitiveness, but that's what the referees are here for. So they're incredibly tight at times.
This one's dropped forward for Friesz, one-on-one. Opt to leave that one, run it out of play. It's a throw to come for Brooklyn.
I like this combination of Mackenzie George and Grace Philpotts off this left side. George played a little higher in the fall, and she's playing more in an outside back position now for Brooklyn, but there's just such an attacking personality and presence from those two players. The longer they play together, I think that'll be extremely entertaining to watch.
Martinez. George in a lot of space. Rolls it. Amani. Side of the boot for her. Picks out Philpotts. She's got three in gray in the box and a lot of space herself. Squares it across. Easy tap in for the opener for Brooklyn. They end 4 matches without a goal. Mackenzie George able to just be in the right spot at the right time and makes it 1-0 Brooklyn.
Amani plays in Philpotts, and this is great, continues to drive in, and Mackenzie George started this entire thing in her defensive final third. Then she's at the 6-yard box finishing this off. Very optimistic run from her. This was very similar to the opportunity they had earlier in the game. This one a little bit closer, and Mackenzie George is rewarded for her industriousness of getting into the penalty area.
So George now with 4 goals on the season. 3 assists for her as well. Grace Philpotts, don't think they'll credit her with an assist for that one, but very instrumental in playing that ball in. Excitement from Jess Silva. It's a big goal for them.
Well, that's a lot of fun, and it feels like a lot of relief when you're searching for those goals, but everything about this goal was really enjoyable to watch. It started from Sydney Martinez, which I really like, and figuring out the press of DC to spring George out into that white channel, and it's the combination that we were talking about being really entertaining down that left side.
GU. Lofted forward, pushed away. First goal since February 22nd. Almost a month to the day they last scored a goal. They get one. It's Mackenzie George, and it's again Philpotts, who was instrumental in that goal on this ball. Steps past the challenge of Fitch. Tries a pass forward. It squeaks through, and the shot tame, saved by Gay.
Well, what's happening with the way that DC is pressing, Frias is off this right side, but she's stepping into the midfielders of Kroger and Garziano, and then they're finding Philpotts and George in the wide channel. So you've got to think DC might have to change how they're pressing because there's a lot of space for Brooklyn to take advantage of here on the left.
Claire Constant plays it back to Gay. Constant, the captain for this DC power group. Response going to be from the home side. 24 minutes down. That one rolled in the channel for Frias, trying to get on the end of it. Runs out. Throw in to come deep inside their own half for Brooklyn. Fitch. Played to the middle. Bear just can't get a touch to it. Bear would love that. Ball back, another chance to get a touch there. Blocked by Ibarra, out for a goal kick.
And that was better pressing right there, not just sprinting at players, but just trying to dictate play with Ibarra, trying to force inside. That allows Cujo to step a little bit higher, Frias to step higher, and Guiu just gives it a little bit more pressure, and then you've got 5 players going against the back line.
Martinez goes along with this goal kick. George, pressed tightly by Kurosaki. Kurosaki did well to avoid conceding a foul. Back to Martinez. Big attempt through the middle there. Frias trying to get onto this. Trying that ball over the top for Ibarra, or Gurley rather. And the flag goes up. Forward loves playing the last line of defense, has been playing just beyond it the first 26 minutes. A little slow to get up after that challenge between her and Martinez.
It's a little scary though, because if she times her run just a little bit better, she could have been in a couple times already in this first half, and she's coming from a deeper position because of her defensive start. You see right there a little bit of contact with Martinez, but they have to be aware of that, especially because they're enjoying possession, Brooklyn is what do they look like when they have the ball in case they do lose it, because Gorley's looking to take advantage.
Silva looking to get to 10 wins on the season. George. Philpotts. In the channel, flag goes up. Offside against Brooklyn. forward step, one back. Kroger trying to find an option. Kurosaki, diligent defensively, right along this end line, pulls off the nutmeg, rolls it back to Friez. She's trying to roll it forward for Gurley. Does find another option in Ibarra. That challenge coming in. It rolls. Kurosaki. Ibarra. Fitch. This ball over the top. Martinez off her line, claims.
One of the things that's really hard for DC in the midfield is they really have a 2 against 3 against Brooklyn, so it's hard for them right now to control midfield because Gianna Gorley does like to stay a little bit higher, and so they're outnumbered at times. So they have to figure out how to spring players in the wide channels or use the 2 up front to be able to go against the center backs to create something.
Big challenge put in there. Going to be a yellow card. Sasha Pickard booked for that challenge. She feels she won the ball.
And this was the challenge by Pickard, just sliding in at the last minute. She actually does get ball on that. It's a tough challenge, but I think it might be a little bit harsh in there.
FC's number 5, Sasha Pickard, in the 29th minute.
Explanation there from 4th official to Jess Silva. She might be saying, well, what happened over there? That wasn't called.
It did look like a recovery tackle, like she had to go from outside to inside. So to the eye, it looks like almost a little bit of desperation, but it was actually pretty well timed, I thought. She definitely caught her coming through, though, on the challenge.
Rosa Ibarra feeling the effects of the challenge. Getting a bit of treatment done. We have a brief moment here, about half hour into the game. We can look at the decisive moment up to this point in the match, the goal that Brooklyn have scored. It was courtesy, Casey, of a really free-flowing move from back to front, able to get this goal in.
It was, and Mackenzie George was able to get that from her defensive final third. You can watch her coming through central. She's committed to going. She trusts Grace Philpotts. They're organizing in the box. There's runs on both sides flanking Mackenzie George, and it falls very nicely to her. But it's a good finish. You can see the desperation defending by Conte, and she's still able to keep it low, put it on frame, and this is the separator.
George, easy enough goal for her to score. Celebrations there between Coach Jess Silva and Grace Philpotts. No official assist on that goal in our record.
I think that's Casey. A little harsh. I would love to have Grace Philpotts get the assist on that, but that's coming from someone who played off the flank sometimes. So I would have liked to have seen it because she makes a very good decision of where to play that.
Spoken like somebody who had a assist or two robbed by the statisticians in her career.
Maybe. Could you tell?
Grace Philpotts, a big debut for her so far, in terms of starting debut, I should say. One appearance already for Brooklyn FC. Since coming in 2024 with Kentucky. So after that pause for Ibarra, it's a chance now with a free kick and to put some numbers forward. Bagley. Big looping ball. It's nodded away on the first touch. No one there in DC colors to immediately press for it. This one's clipped forward, aiming for the run of Grabias. The pass back is a bit dangerous. Who's going to get on the end of it? It's blocked by Grabias after the attempted clearance by GU. Clipped over the top. Fitch. Fitch, her pass intercepted. Grabias takes over. Not many in support with her. Goes herself, takes a deflection. Top of the box, GU gets a foot to it. The shot from distance might come in. It's dragged just wide. Samantha Kroger can hardly falter for having a go, just slices that effort.
The counter-pressing mentality of Amani I really like in that moment, because as soon as there's a loss of possession, she's looking to win it back. That's why it falls to Sam Kroger's feet, is because of the commitment of the attacking midfielder to press right away. Obviously not a great connection on that shot, but really good standards from Brooklyn.
Moved out wide for Bagley. Bagley. GU under some pressure. Aiming for the run of Frias, knocked out of play. Throw to come here in a moment for DC Power. Every Wednesday, listen to USL Super League Game Week. It's a deep dive into all things Super League with hosts Marion Crowder and Anna Whitty. You can follow along all season on the SiriusXM app. On the turn. Rolled along. Option. Far side Bagley. Comes onto it. Moves it onto her right foot. Has a crack. And it's a shot saved. First shot by the host DC Power. But Martinez equal to it.
Well, and they're finally getting some final third entries, which is good. It started off like that for DC, but they've had a bit of a drought here in the last 10 minutes or so. This is good from Bagley, coming inside, trying to pick out an area, goes for power instead of trying to bend it to that far post, but she does test Martinez.
Martinez launches the ball back into play. Here's Gurley. Holds off one challenge. Rolls that ball back, finds the open option. Ibarra coming onto it. Ibarra on the right foot. Keeps it in play, but just losing her touch there. Not able to keep that attack going. Good header won by Constant. Cujo returns it to Conte. Pass under hit by Conte. Fitch.
Well, and DC just can't quite figure out how to get through the second wave of pressure. Guiu's taking up a little bit more of a better space that's in the wide areas that allows Frias to get wider. I think that's something that can help them, because right now Brooklyn really has the advantage in those wide areas with the way both teams are building up.
Throw in to come for DC Power. Was that a foul? Referee says yes, it was. It's a foul going against Salma Amani. Trini getting onto it. Let's see that one again. It offers a great opportunity on a set piece here.
Well, it's off the throw. Guiu just uses her body. There's just a little bit of push. It's a little slight, but she has the positioning. You see the arms extend a little bit, and so a pretty easy call.
It's one that you open yourself up to once you extend the arms just a little bit.
She tried to pull it back. You can see a little bit of it, but it was seen by our center official.
They go to the short option. Rolled along, and a brilliant save by Martinez. Off the training ground and almost into the back of the net, but denied by Sydney Martinez.
It needed a little bit more power on the finish, but I like this, just finding that open gap. Ibarra running across it really makes it, and Bagley has the contact with the ball, but a good save for Martinez. This is a great angle here. You can see it's going to that far post area.
DC growing into the game. Pair of shots on target in quick succession after going over a half hour without a single shot. They went into halftime against Spokane last weekend down a 0-0. Tweaks from Phil Nana. They got themselves back into the game, 2-1. But then the heartbreak of conceding a penalty just moments after scoring the second goal of the match. And of course, dropping that game against Zephyr. Out of play. No nonsense from Fitch there.
And I would think one of the things that they're going to have to try to solve is how to get more pressure on Mackenzie George in the wide channel, because she is attacking. That is their out ball when they're building up, and Frias is just a little bit late to step in those moments, or they've got to figure out from Kurosaki and Abera, how do you block the pass to that side, because right now Brooklyn is just playing out the left side at will.
George sees off the challenge. Martinez going on a little saunter into the midfield. George dragging it back, draws the foul. Frias committing the foul. 39th minute. Kroger back to Martinez. Rolled forward. Sheriff, that one now into the box. To the back post. Philpott's in the area. It's scraped away. George comes on to it. 1 goal today for her already. Trying for another. That one goes towards goal. There's appeals from both sides over where it should be going, and it's going to be a goal kick in the end. Mackenzie George just learning that decision.
Well, 2 outside backs very influential in that attack, with Pickard getting the early ball in, and then Mackenzie George is the one coming up on the opposite side. So there's a very forward-thinking approach that Brooklyn has right now to their attack.
Sydney Martinez is down behind the play. Goalkeeper needing a bit of attention here. Got Niku Purcell on the bench, who's made 9 starts so far this season, so not necessarily having to throw in an inexperienced backup, but Sydney Martinez would be definitely a blow to the side if she's not able to continue. And with just a few minutes until halftime, it's definitely not one where you can say, all right, see if you can just see it out until halftime.
Exactly. But, you know, that is all the roster management piece. She's been gone some. Sydney Martinez on international duty, so Niku Purcell has had to come in and play. So both having experience in this league. I did see earlier when she hit a long ball, she kind of looked a little bit uneasy. So I'm not entirely surprised that this is happening right now after noticing that. But it is still a little bit too far away from halftime. That you got to figure it's a hard decision to make at this point.
Pause for both teams. Martinez helped back to her feet. We can look at the live standings right now, and we talked, Casey, in the build up to this, the struggle it's been in the spring. If this match, this result holds, Brooklyn, they're back top of the table.
Well, I think with the conversation with Jess Silva was it's about perspective. And yes, they may not be happy with their recent run of results, but she likes the way they're playing between the boxes, and she knows where they were in the standings. So 1 win can be a big separator, and you can see that across the entire standings, that things can change with just 1 game here or there for most places in the table.
Fort Lauderdale, a 0-0 draw last night with Spokane. They only gained 1 point on their lead above Brooklyn. They had a goal difference edge over their rivals in 2nd spot. Martinez back to her feet. Looks like she's going to continue play. Rolled forward, laid off. Outside of the boot.
Well, I like this decision to recycle play, just the possession before. I think it was what Phil Nana had been speaking about, just rushing a little bit too much to go forward. Easier said than done to hold possession when you're trying to get the equalizer, but you have to think about the game in its entirety and take your time.
Rolled forward, aiming for Frias. It's going to be knocked out here for a throw-in for DC Power. Frias. One 0 Brooklyn FC on Top of DC Power, Jack Edwards, Casey White here with you in the broadcast booth. The final stages of our first 45 minutes, a half that we'd likely say Casey deserved this lead Brooklyn did.
I would agree with that. I think DC had some moments very early, but so did Brooklyn as well, and then they were able to find that goal. They have really enjoyed more of the possession, and the possession has had a purpose. It hasn't been around the back. It's been to go forward and penetrate, and they've looked extremely good in the wide areas.
2.5 minutes till halftime. It's the first goal since February 22nd for Brooklyn. Gurley tussling with that one, comes out second best. Ibarra, the back heel, returns it. Gurley in the box. Her touch gets away from her a little bit. There were appeals for a penalty, waved away by Jamie Padilla. Touch there from Fitch. Referee playing advantage. We'll pull it back for the foul after no real advantage was to be gained. Fitch back to her feet.
And a bit of creativity here in the final third from Ibarra, finding Gurley. Her touch just not there. She does touch the ball coming back in, Garziano, but it's that touch that really let her down in that moment. And then eventually the foul is called right here. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. That was a replay of the last opportunity, but Gurley would have had a touch to her left foot. It would have been a better opportunity for her going forward.
Top of the box. Rolled back. Here's Cujo. Rolled forward, aiming for Gurley. Can she get there? No, she can't. Martinez off her line. She was getting a bit of treatment done, Martinez. Able to get to that one. Fitch drops one over the top. Aiming for Frias, an ambitious pass. It's going to run out of play for a goal kick.
And I think this is one of the areas that if DC Power is looking to make some changes going into the second half, can they get someone that can threaten in behind off the wide channels? I think that's really where Brooklyn is dominating, and they're not able to play in that area. 5
minutes of stoppage time at the end of our half. A few pauses for injury. A goal scored by Brooklyn. A few more minutes to be played. Throw in for Brooklyn. Vilnana helping to encourage the restart. He wants this match continuing in its flow. Give his side the best chance possible to get back into the match. They made 3 changes at halftime against Spokane when they found themselves down 1-0. They made immediate impact. Bagley, one of those subs, came on and scored. That's going to be a foul from behind. GU coming in and committing the foul.
We actually haven't seen Grabias on the ball that much in this first half. She's still a player that can be really impactful. I like the way she drew the foul there. She's dribbling backwards. If she loses that, it could be a transition the opposite way.
Garziano. Ball headed away. There's a slip there on the ball, and it turns it over to Philpotts at the end line. Unable to get that one in. Took a deflection along the way. A corner will be coming now for Brooklyn.
Well, this is the thing that Philpotts does is she may not get the cross in, but she's able to get corner kicks. She just keeps a lot of pressure on opposition when you have a winger of that type that is always looking to have final third entries.
Amani. Puts the corner in the box. Lifted up and away. Rolled forward. Gay off her line. She'll put it at her feet. Chance to build out from the back. Gurley brings it down. On the turn, taken off her foot. Good work from George. Driving to the middle, aiming for Grabias. Can't get there. Fitch back to Gay. We talked about that just a second ago, Casey. Grabias really not able to get on the ball this match.
Yeah, she hasn't. She's been a little bit isolated up top, and Amani has been able to get on the ball a little bit more than her, but still someone who's looking to play in combination. But also sometimes your best front runners, they may not get a lot of touches. They may not be involved in the middle third play, but they're constantly looking to make an impact in the final third. So I wouldn't doubt if she comes up in a moment that's pretty big in the second half.
George throws it in. Amani can't get a foot to it on the first touch. Second one does get something to it. It's out now for a goal kick. 3 minutes down to the stoppage time. 5 minutes added on. Header nodded up and out of play now. Well done. The throw in for Brooklyn. Shots up to this point. A slight edge up to this point for Brooklyn, showing in the score sheet as well. 1-0 in front, 7-2 in front in the shots department. Chances for high quality as well with the George. A tap in for her. Ibarra, no one in support for her. Thought Gurley was making that run over her shoulder. Martinez. Frias.
One of the bright spots in possession has been Kurosaki for DC. Every time she gets it, she's very simplistic, and as the foul is called, it's Conte who draws it. Cujo will step over the ball, but Kurosaki's done really well to keep it. They need more players that can do that because it allows them to build more numbers forward to just try to create more overloads.
Ball over the top. Getting there. Inside, outside. Rolled back here for Cujo. Options, Ibarra, edge of the 18. Her touch gets away from her. Fitch. Pass back to Gay. Quick, one-touch passing from DC Power. Final seconds of the minimum remaining. Phil Potts. End of the first 45 minutes. 50 minutes down, a score of 1-0. Brooklyn FC in front of DC Power. Casey, your thoughts on those first 45 minutes?
Brooklyn has used that goal as a catalyst to increase performance throughout the first half. They've gotten better as the half has gone on. They look more in control in possession, and they have figured out the pressing shape of DC Power.
1-0 edge right now for Brooklyn. A goal in the 22nd minute from Mackenzie George. End of a really nice free-flowing move from the side. And we're joined now by Mackenzie George. Mackenzie, congratulations on that goal. A move that started with Sydney and net. Just what you saw from that move for your group for the goal.
What I saw from what move? Sorry, I can't hear really.
For your goal, Mackenzie.
Oh, you know, that was just a really good team goal. I felt our team's power going forward, and I was like, I had this split-second thought in my mind, like, should I go or should I stay? And I was like, let's go. And thank God I did, because Grace played a great ball across, and it just ended up working out. So yeah, a really good team goal.
There was such good movement and possession throughout the first half, but what do you think is going to be important, Mackenzie, in the second half for you guys to get the 3 points?
Keeping the mentality, not laying up on them. Every player that comes in needs to make a difference. We got to act like it's 0-0, and this game's for the taking. So kind of just going in with the same confidence and the same mindset to be mobile and stay at them.
Congrats on the goal, Mackenzie. Thank you for your time.
Thank you guys so much.
Mackenzie George, the lone goal in our match so far today between Brooklyn and DC Power. Halftime coming here. Tweaks for both teams sure to come. We'll see what happens in our second 45 minutes between these sides. Our score at the break, it's Brooklyn 1, DC Power 0.
Success doesn't come easy. It takes grit, hustle, and relentless effort. Every step forward brings you closer to greatness. This is your moment. Elevate your game. El Jimador Spiked Bebidas.
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Pain doesn't care who you are or why you hurt, but pain can be mastered if you know the way. Fight back with Tiger Balm's legendary herbal power. Trusted for over 100 years, our proven blend of camphor, menthol, and essential oils tames pain with the strength and speed of the tiger, so that you can rise above pain and get back to living. This is the way of the tiger.
The two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why.
Yeah, trick. I said what I said. I don't care. I paint the town red.
If you can survive this, it's going to make the whole story that much better.
The bright horses are broken free from the fields.
It's halftime at Audi Field. Two sides in search of their first win of the spring schedule. Currently, Brooklyn holding a 1-0 lead over DC Power FC. Alongside Casey White, Jack Edwards here with you. We can look big picture across the USL Super League. Been a very busy week. Last night, Fort Lauderdale United taking on Spokane Zephyr, a 0-0 draw, but they stay unbeaten now 9 straight games. Addie McCain, Allie Thornton in that battle to double digits, as well as Madison White with a clean sheet in that 3-0 win over Brooklyn on Wednesday. Makes it a league-leading 7th clean sheet on the season. Looking at the schedule as well. We have a game coming up later today, part of this doubleheader, Lexington, Carolina. Brooklyn, obviously, against Tampa coming up as well, with Dallas and Carolina rounding out the upcoming schedule.
Some really good games. First of all, the one later today, but I think that Brooklyn-Tampa Bay Sun matchup is going to be important, especially if Brooklyn can get the 3 points today. They'll want to capitalize.
A lot of action happening this weekend. That will all be sure to be broken down on Game Week coming up this Wednesday.
Fun guests on this week's version of Game Week. We had Fort Lauderdale's forward Jasmine Hamid. She started the season with 4 goals in 4 games. And Marion, I think you're going to love her reason as to why she got off on this really great start.
Well, we also talk stocks, and I promise, guys, we're not giving any financial advice, but we do tell you who to buy, who to hold, and what players you may be sleeping on.
1-0. Brooklyn in front. Highlights on the other side of this break. Halftime between DC and Brooklyn, a 1-0 edge for the visiting side. Jack Edwards, Casey White here with you. An early opportunity for Brooklyn. They entered the day 4 consecutive matches without a goal, trying to curb that run here in the match today.
Mackenzie George started quickly and came early and often in the wide channel. Amani with a great opportunity, but she skies it right over the crossbar. Brooklyn, though, did start very quick, and they would have a very similar setup. Martinez has been picking out this wide channel throughout the entirety of the first half. Mackenzie George, I want you to watch her. She starts this entire play, but she continues the run through the middle as Amani puts Philpotts in behind. Philpotts drives in line, plays it across, and there is the deflection off Adelaide Gay, and Mackenzie George is rewarded. She went about 80 yards all the way up to the 6-yard box for this finish.
She was out of breath when we interviewed her at halftime, probably from that run still.
Still recovering.
Great from her. 4 goals now on the season for Mackenzie George. 37th minute now. A set-piece opportunity here, really well worked, and a half opportunity here.
And just lifting the shot was Anna Bagley. A good set-piece opportunity from Guiu. You've got to keep that a little bit lower, but a good save from Martinez, being ready to keep the lead.
Was one of the 2 shots on target for DC Power, who held a slight edge of possession, but the shots, opportunities going the way of Brooklyn.
Well, and that's really what matters. It felt like Brooklyn had more possession than 45%, to be honest, but it's because they were having it and turning it into very dangerous chances, but DC definitely had more of the ball.
A back and forth first 45 minutes, and Brooklyn hold a current 1-0 edge. One more break, and on the other side, the second half between DC Power and Brooklyn FC with a massive 3 points on the line. Nearing the end of halftime between DC Power FC and Brooklyn FC. Jack Edwards and Casey White here in the broadcast booth for a very competitive match up to this point, separated by a Mackenzie George goal in the 22nd minute. Two teams have had a chance to have some halftime talks. Casey, if you had to guess, put yourself in those locker rooms, what's the mood? What are the big talking points for both teams?
I think for DC Power, they have to figure out how to attack more in the wide areas, because right now they're not able to create the central overloads against Brooklyn. So that's really the spaces that Brooklyn is winning. If you're Brooklyn, you have to expect there could be a change. So although you figured out how to play out against the press of the two front runners in the first half really well, expect a change potentially and be alert to that to make sure there's no early mistakes in the second half.
Two teams back out on the field. And a big thing you see there, the 18, Niku Purcell, is in the game for Brooklyn FC. You also see Madison Wolfbauer in. We'll get you the full complexion there. Easy to guess the sub for Niku Purcell, probably in for the goalkeeper, Sydney Martinez, but that's a halftime sub there. We saw Martinez go down once with a bit of issue as we're back underway, and the black hits from right to left are DC Power, and the grays, Brooklyn, from left to right. They get the ball now after winning it back. So a change in net, a change at the back for DC Power, and a chance for Brooklyn at the edge of the 18 right now. Stood into the box. On the bike, that one going just wide. Ambitious from Brooklyn, but Madison Wolfbauer into the game. Carly Frilez coming out of the match. Her final contribution. Madison Wolfbauer, who started 15 games so far this year, scored 2 goals. Those 2 goals both coming in a meeting against Spokane back in December, a pair of them being penalties. So Wolfbauer usually playing in that back line. Interesting to see how that ends up impacting things in terms of the shape for this DC Power group.
Well, it will give them a little bit more width, so I think that will address some of the issues that were going on down that left side where Brooklyn had a lot of success with the partnership of Phil Potts and Mackenzie George.
Intercepted. Bagley rolls it centrally. Pass blocked again. Might roll kindly. Does indeed for GU. So Sydney Martinez makes way. Niku Purcell comes in. She's made 9 starts, now 10 appearances, the first one from the bench. What are the big keys here when you make a goalkeeping change halfway through? Obviously, this not performance-based. May have just been a slight issue for Martinez that meant she wasn't at full fitness.
Well, Purcell is known for being really good with her feet and good in distribution. The only thing that's a little bit difficult is you had a whole half of Martinez figuring out the pressing triggers of DC Power. Now Purcell's going to have to do that because they're going to come quickly and try not to let her settle in.
They press her there. Her ball forward slightly sliced. Kurosaki had brought it down. This is put in the box. Goes all the way through and out now for a goal kick, but several players attacking it, including Anna Bagley at that back post on the ball from Fitch.
Fitch did really well to get that to the back post, and Brooklyn needs to be careful on the tracking of runners. They let players go. Bagley almost was able to get there. So those are some little details early on that they're going to have to be careful of.
Pushed along. Far side of the field, opportunity Fitch. Low ball in, intercepted. On the far side. Here's Fitch again. Trying the 1-2. Her pass not able to come off to Gurley.
But the substitution has really been about figuring out that right-hand side for DC Power. With Wolfbauer coming into the 3-back, it allowed Fitch to move a little higher up. She's a more natural wide player in that role.
That one's taken off here. No nonsense clearance after the first one was slightly deflected. Coming onto it in the midfield, GU. She brought down illegally. Referee says no. A chance for Brooklyn to transition into attack. Pass a little heavy, and Wolfbauer, one of her first touches since coming in. The 1-2 return to her. Fitch trying to move that ball along. Pass intercepted, sits up in the midfield, Amani. Coming up, Cujo gets a toe in. Conte, in the end, just tackled to the ground by Amani. It's a match that matters for both of these sides. Just 14 points so far this season for DC Power. 31 for Brooklyn, and they found themselves just 1 point off top spot despite this run of 5 without a win, including 3 consecutive defeats by heavy margin. Allowing 11 goals, not scoring a single one in 3 matches, but that goal by Mackenzie George, you could just see almost a bit lifted off their chest. Obviously 3 points will lift a lot more off their chest to get a good result, but that goal a big positive.
100%. And to echo what Jess Silva said when we spoke to her, was that she likes the way that they're playing tactically. She likes between the boxes what they've been doing. She just knew that the efficiency had to be better in the final third. There had to be better crosses, pick out players, better box organization, and then your finishing choices and execution are important at this level. And so you saw that in that first goal with one finally going in. They had to be excited about that, and they're continuing to play the same way we saw them throughout some of their best stretches.
Laid off. Gourley. Bit of a heavy touch in the back line by Conte. One touch passing, trying to generate an opening here. That may have been a bit of a high boot there. There was apologetic hands put up after Conte was caught in the face. I think the referee is going to acknowledge the incidental nature there and saying, just don't do that again, please.
Yeah, there didn't look to be any intent on that. She was trying to flick it on, knowing Sheriff was making that run towards her right a little bit, but Conte definitely gets hit in that moment as she's defending and puts her head in there.
Brave defending from Myra Conte, making a third start for the side. Grabias, we talked about it in the first half. Limited, just the way the match has been going. They would love to get her a few more touches on the ball. The turn from Ibarra opens up possession for Brooklyn. Great move there by Sheriff. Strong challenge coming across. Push that one out of play. Cujo stepping in. Grabias, her shot blocked, flicked back towards the goalkeeper. Enough power put on it. Gay collects. Ball forward. Again, just behind the run of Kurosaki. Couldn't get it out in front of her. That touch opens the tackle from Fitch. Ibarra can't get to the loose ball. Back. Purcell upfield.
And that's one thing DC is going to have to do a good job of, is winning those second balls. If they force Purcell into that long service, if they can win it, they can set their possession play a little bit higher up the field.
Rolled by Bagley. Here's Ibarra. Knocked out of play by Brooklyn. A throw deep in the attacking half. That one just knocked out of play by Bantuso. Bagley in an offside position when that was laid back off to her. Just a little concentration error there from DC. We're trying to get some opportunities back into this game. Purcell. Constant. Conte. Ibarra. Cujo. Swings one out to the right side, under hit for Fitch. First touch by Grabias, laid off well into the run of George. Here's Mackenzie George, playing some one-touch passing. Grabias. The shot from way downtown. Goes just wide, not too far off on the effort there.
But it is a little bit harder for Brooklyn right now. It's Garziano that has the last opportunity. I think DC has settled in. They're having more width in the way they're defending, so it's just not as simple getting out. Brooklyn, though, still figuring out ways to get opportunities. Garziano has a couple yards of space, so I don't blame her for taking this shot, not able to get it on frame, but it's a little bit more balanced of a second half so far, where you're just not seeing as clear of buildup coming out of the back from Brooklyn.
Over the top, into the channel. A speculative pass, seen out of play for a throw. Possession slightly in DC's favor. Shots well in Brooklyn's favor.
I think a big part of that as well for DC is Gurley's playing that a little bit lower position, and so there's no one really testing the back line of Brooklyn, so they're not having to really defend centrally in their area. I'd like to see a little bit more vertical runs from Gurley perhaps, but because of the way she's having to defend in her role in the press, she's just a little bit lower in her starting position.
Here's Conte. Constant. Waiting for options to present themselves, rolls it to her goalkeeper. Gay pressed by Grabias. Drops one into the midfield, stepping up, winning it. Kroger rolls that one forward, an option in the box. The low shot, saved by Gay. Good movement there to get Grabias involved.
Well, it was a good interception by Sam Kroger, and the immediate pass to break two lines gets Grabias in a position where she can go to goal. The better option may have been to slide that across to either Garziano or Amani on the back post, but you like seeing your front runner take an opportunity when she hasn't been overly involved in the game.
You want that confidence, you want that desire to shoot and be involved from Grabias. 4 goals this year, scored a hat trick against DC Power when she was last here at Audi Field. Goals, 2 assists for Grabias this season. Good numbers for the team, but they would love for her to continue to add to those. Cujo pressed, taken off her foot. Here's Amani. Drops it in for Sheriff. Sheriff at the back line. Cross blocked. A corner to come. Brooklyn have had a few and have generated a little bit of threat from these corner opportunities.
Yeah, it's not as clear, but they're still finding ways to get into spaces to take on in the 1v1. Claire Constant does a good job of just patient 1v1 defending. You don't really want to let Dana Sheriff turn and go at you, but if she is going to, you want to slow her down and at least not let the cross come into the penalty box.
Kroger stands over this. In swinging corner to come. Near post, that one just goes back out. Not the clearance that they wanted, but anywhere will do outside of the box. We'll do another corner kick. Kroger again. Referee wants a quick word in the box. Kroger, short. We'll do another one. Three corners in quick succession. All taken by Kroger. One to the near post, one to the player right next to her. Third corner comes, and this one driven low into the box. Unorthodox attempt there. No one there to directly attack. And pushed out of play. It'll be still with Brooklyn. This time a throw-in.
It definitely looks like a complete miscommunication on that, hoping for a short run into the area. I don't think it was technically wrong, but the timing appeared to be off.
It's a DC throw-in. Match that hasn't had a ton of rhythm in our second 45 minutes. Abera fouled from behind. It's a free kick. Da Silva agrees. In search of a 10th win this season, and a win that would massively lift the spirits of her side. Cujo steps past one challenge, sees off another. Fitch under some pressure. That touch trying to go around her opponent. Taken over. Bouncing around, it goes the way of DC. Defensively able to stop that attack. Opportunity for another DC power sub. This Yango will come into the game. Yuka Kurosaki will make way. Yango comes into the match. Appearance number 11 on the season for the Cameroonian. Long amount of experience in France. Played there from 2013 to 2024. Joined the side in July of last year for the inaugural season in the USL Super League. Miss hit, out now for a goal kick.
And although that wasn't technically executed, I like what Brooklyn's doing in changing the point of attack against the 3-back. If you can immediately change that, which is what Amani did, there can be some isolation on the opposite side. It's just getting it down quicker from Sheriff, trying to go in the 1v1, that they could take advantage of the space utilized on that side.
Laid off. Back again. Inside the 18. This one pushed away. That touch a bit heavy from Kroger. Ibarra gets to it first. Gurley comes onto it. Gets it out of her feet. First touch now for Yango since coming into the match. Gurley was calling for it with a hand up. She's at the last line of defense. First pass blocked. Second one, Gurley trying to get to it, but poked back and away. Bagley on the turnover. She keeps play alive. Moves it to Cujo. Back to Bagley. Press from behind. Yango able to just keep something on it. Fitch, the return ball. Yango at the end line, not able to get to it. It runs out of play for a goal kick.
When it's increasingly obvious that Yango's providing a little bit more in behind in these last minutes or so and just trying to make Mackenzie George have to defend in that area.
We can stay up to date with the USL Super League. Sign up for the Super League newsletter. Get news about your favorite team and stories from around the league delivered directly to your inbox every week. You can sign up at uslsuperleague.com/newsletter. Goal kick to come here for the substitute goalkeeper, Niku Purcell. Collegiate career at UCLA. As part of the Rain Academy, much of her time before college. Her side in the attack, it's dropped into this near channel. Just getting there first, getting a toe to it, Conte. Sasha Pickard takes the throw, lofts it back in. Ball rose out of play just past the hour mark here. A goal kick to come for DC Power FC, a match that is led by a goal from Mackenzie George. Jack Edwards, former U.S. international, Casey White in the broadcast booth. What's been a even match, but the decisive moments have gone the way of Brooklyn. A few subs made by DC Power trying to get themselves back into this game. That touch by Bagley keeps it under her spell. Bagley moves it along.
The adjustments have been better from DC Power, though. They figured out how to just equalize in the wide areas and slow Brooklyn down just a little bit. And Brooklyn's still playing well, but the setup is just making it to where they can really defend across the wide spaces and have more numbers forward when they actually do dispossess and turn over possession of the ball.
Here's George. 4 goals, 3 assists now this season. Been a few positions in this game here today, up and down the field. Ibarra trying to turn. Intercepted. Good press after losing the ball. Dropped forward, aiming for Bagley. It's pushed along. Maybe kept in play by Brooklyn. No, it cannot. Wondering there for a second if the energy had paid off. It had not.
It was close.
Bagley with a throw in now. Leaves it for Myra Conte. Yango, Conte. Conte stops that one there. She brought down illegally. No, she wasn't. Both players back to their feet, and it's put out. So a DC throw in. They've held this ball in the attacking end for a couple moments now. Conte. Gurley, one touch in the box. You can see what she was trying to do to open the angle. Puts up her hands apologetically. Much like that chance for Luana Grabias, you want your forward when they get the ball in and around the 18 to be aggressive.
You want that attitude to be the difference maker. I love the idea of getting this over. Obviously not technically executed how Gurley would want, but what I really like about what we've seen from her in the last few games is she looks for any opportunity, even if it's just a half chance. That's what you want your top goal scorers to do, is to feel that confidence and always looking to test the goalkeeper.
3 goal contributions and 3 appearances for the forward. She gets onto the ball in the midfield. Her pass blocked. Again, a lot of these secondary balls have fallen the way of DC Power. That hit a hand for sure, but inadvertent, says the referee. That challenge, a foul and a free kick. Grace Philpotts with the foul. Philpotts, a first start for her as a professional since a collegiate career at both DePaul and Kentucky. Cujo just puts one in the mix, aiming for Gurley. Good header one, bravely done there. Great work from Cujo. Comes across, wins it. Gurley gets past one challenge, trying to win the third, loses out to Amani, who can try and drive at the defense. Good step, ball won by Wolfbauer. Feels like the 50-50s are falling the way of DC. They haven't been able to create a chance as of yet from winning those. That's a clever idea on the pass there from Bagley. Picks out Yango. Flag had stayed down. She had a good time to run. Back for Conte. Conte steps past 2 now. Into the box. Conte goes down. Always unlikely to get a foul in that instance. The ball into the channel.
But it's good confidence from the outside back getting forward, and that might have still been, even if it was called a little bit outside the penalty area, but I love the technique and her ability to get forward in that moment.
Here she is again, driving one towards the box. It's going to end up bouncing, and Purcell can claim. Another sub being prepped for Brooklyn FC. Samantha Rosette preparing to come into the game.
And what she can do, she brings a lot of leadership qualities. Jess Silva's talked about how she can organize, and when whether she starts, whether she comes into a game, I'd expect her to slot in across the back line, maybe see a Mackenzie George get a little higher, but we'll see exactly what they're going to do with that with the 1-0 lead.
It's a DC throw. And a chance now for that sub. Making way will be Grace Philpotts for Samantha Rosette. Philpotts, a first start for her, and I think a very confident performance, very involved in that goal. Mackenzie George shouting out her for that ball she played.
Yeah, I think she has to be happy with her first start, and she had a lot of impact. Wasn't credited with the assist, but did come up with the run down that left flank to set it up, but also a lot of good things in the middle third of the field as well.
See what she continues to do, Philpotts, for the remainder of the campaign. We'll see what Samantha Rosette does in the remainder of this game. She comes on, second change made. 2 changes apiece for the two sides, a 1-0 edge for Brooklyn. Throw in, launched forward. You see the idea there from Grabias, trying to nod it down. Can't quite pull it off. That's a good pass dropped in for Yango. Flag goes up. That was a very common story in the first half. A lot of offsides going against DC. That one, maybe the first one in the second 45 minutes.
Well, I was talking about the verticality that I'd like to see from Gurley that we've seen in previous games. Yango has brought that since coming into the game. Instead of more of a back-to-goal player, she's looking to run in behind. She's extremely mobile so far since entering the game.
that kept in play? Yes, it was. A brilliant touch, but for the other side, Yango with a few runners ahead of her. Which option does she pick? She picks towards goal and put it on target. In the end, Purcell expected to save that one, brought it in for her first save. That verticality, 7 offsides now against DC Power, just the one for Brooklyn. Not a major theme, maybe a more minor theme in the match so far today. Flicked along by Yango. Gurley. Trio of touches to eventually bring it down. Bagley swinging that one to the far side, aiming for Fitch. Can she get there? She can, aiming for Ibarra. You could see the idea. She's not able to link up with the forward.
Well, I'd like to see Ibarra continue her run. There was a little bit of hesitation there. It might have been worried about an offside again, potentially. But even if you continue your run, even if she doesn't reward you, then there could be that you're drawing a defender into that space and she ends up cutting the ball back behind you. So those continuing runs above the ball, really important for DC.
Phil Nana may be frustrated with the speed at which that was taken forward by Purcell. Just a tangle of feet there. That's going to be a foul. Number 8 on number 8. Dana Sheriff whistled for the foul against Myra Conte. Brooklyn throw-in. 20 minutes still to go. Flicked along and able to be claimed by Gay. Stay informed about all things Super League. You can visit USLSuperLeague.com for all the latest information, analysis, and insight into the league. If this result holds, when you head over to USLSuperLeague.com, you go to that standings page. There'll be a new team atop the table. If this result holds, Brooklyn, as it stands, going 2 points clear. Still 20 minutes more to try and see this result out at Audi Field.
They're going to have to be really disciplined defensively, and that's going to come from Sam Kroger as the holding mid and the opposite side outside backs where play is being taken. That's going to be important that they stay in those really good defending positions.
Purcell picks it up. Yango pressing tight. Long ball forward, chested down. Good turn from Bagley. Bagley rewarded for her goal from last time out with a start in the match today. Played forward, GU, but not able to find an option.
And that moment there is exactly why Rosette's brought into the game. Even though she's playing a bit higher, she has a really good defensive presence to help out George on that side, who's been in the entire game. She comes back and is able to recover. Those are the little details that are going to be important. When you're trying to see out a 1-0 lead and trying to maintain that, little things like that matter.
Yango. Cujo. Pressed tightly by 3 in gray, and they come away with the ball. Brooklyn do. A chance. A great pass into the box. Laying it across. Selfless from Grabias in a spot where she should have been selfish. She was one-on-one. Thought she maybe had someone with her. And a big chance for Brooklyn to double their advantage goes wasted.
This is great deception right here as they win the ball back, able to step in, get it from Amani to Garziano. I love this opposite ball played in. It's a great ball, and Grabias, I'm very surprised, didn't just go for goal herself. Sheriff didn't recognize to come inside, so she had an angle to go to goal.
So still 1-0. Some big opportunities for Brooklyn. They haven't scored. Of course, the goal from George separating the two sides. Yango, Ibarra, as Fitch sprinting forward down the far side. Fitch, few options in the area. It's deflected along the way. Gurley trying to get on the end of it. She can. Here's Ibarra. Her touch escapes her. Now a chance for Amani to try and keep Brooklyn with the ball for a moment. Game getting a little stretched, which would favor DC, chasing the game. It's a foul from behind. Sama Amani whistled for it.
And Amani is trying to retreat there and not in a correct position to defend, so then she overcompensates, just a little bit too aggressive. These are the kind of things that Brooklyn doesn't need at this point. They don't need to chase the game. They need to stay controlled, stay patient, but DC is just gaining that momentum as this match goes on.
Amani, a very experienced midfielder herself. Originally from Morocco, been capped at the national level. Spent the last 2 years with Al Ittihad in Saudi Arabia. Spent 2005 and 2023 with various clubs in France. First start today for Brooklyn. A free kick in the box. Over everybody, out for a goal kick. Two subs are being prepped by DC to try and change this game, get them back into the contest. Yango. It's been a bright spot since coming on the field. Wolfbauer, another sub that's been made. 2 more are being planned after those 2 subs that have been made already.
Well, and the pressing hasn't changed much from DC. It's just the players have changed, and there's a little bit higher intention of being up on Mackenzie George and Pickard as the outside back. So Purcell and the center backs might have to bypass that to the wingers, where in the first half they were able to find that outlet through the outside backs.
Fitch. Good strength to turn and play that ball forward, but only back to Purcell. When this spot will force Gianna Gurley to come and press. First game of 2 here today in the USL Super League. Lexington, Carolina playing at 4 p.m. today. Also live on Peacock, kicking off in just about 15 minutes time. Into the box, squared across, brought in by Gay. Just down with a bit of discomfort off the ball is Myra Conte. Just going one-on-one with Dana Sheriff. Took a tumble, a chance for both teams to collect themselves. And likely the subs will wait for DC until they figure out if Conte is good to continue or if she needs to be switched around to be one of the subs. Wasn't one of the planned subs by Phil Nana.
Well, and she's put in a lot of work defensively for sure, especially in that first half, having to track back. But she's also been a bright spot going forward, some few opportunities, some services into the penalty area. So I'm sure DC's hoping that she's going to be okay and can stay on and continue to contribute.
Phil Nana looking on. See Jennifer Cujo waving over her team for some discussions here. 12 minutes to go. As Conte gets looked at, any big tweaks you might want to see here from DC to try and give themselves 1 or 2 more opportunities to get yourself back in the game?
I think they really need to concentrate on their pressing, because I don't think they've figured out, Brooklyn, yet how to really play out of it in this second half because of the slight little adjustment. So see if you can nick an opportunity just from a turnover in the final third, commit more numbers forward, have your 3 backs step really aggressively into midfield and really commit to that press. I think that's really important because they can pick up second balls or third balls that might be bouncing around and just try to create something out of it.
Katie Duong and Amber Diorio will both be coming into the game. Jennifer Cujo will make way, as will Myra Conte. 4 subs used now by DC. Probably the best for Myra Conte, who limps off the field, but under her own power. Strong effort from her. It'll roll back with DC. About 10 minutes plus stoppage time to go. Amber Diorio, 14 starts this season. Katie Duong, 16 starts this season. Both very experienced players. Goal into assists this year for Duong. One of the team leaders in chances created so far this year.
And she's a player that's really simplistic in possession and can keep it very well for DC, which is important. And I expect Diorio to get really high up the field as well as one of the outside backs.
Bagley had a lot of space in the midfield. That pass out wide to Abera. Cut along. Yango gets to it. Yango has Bagley as the near option. Just creeping forward at the defense into the 18-yard box now. Trying to go on the left foot. Great bit of strength shown to see it out for a goal kick.
And although it doesn't work out for Yango, I like what she's doing. Her mobility across the front line, she's just causing problems. She's not just staying on the right side, she's over on the left, she's dropping into midfield. That's what DC has needed, was that movement to just unsettle Brooklyn defensively. I like this from Brooklyn, just starting over play. It just kind of takes the air out of the game. DC has really experienced some possession early on, so this helps them as they try to go forward. But that's the space I'm talking about that they're cutting down, that they didn't in the first half. The outside backs had so much space, and DC hasn't allowed that here.
We saw it from the goal. It was a clipped pass from Sydney Martinez, picked out Mackenzie George. That's how that move came about. 2 more subs made. Cass Elmore, Hope Breslin coming into the match, making way Salma Amani and Dana Sheriff.
One of the things to think about with all these subs for Brooklyn, too, is this is 3 games in a matter of a week. So they're having to really manage the roster, manage the energy levels to try to see out the game and get the 3 points.
Jess Silver mentioned as well, matches against top quality opposition. Against Dallas Trinity twice and Fort Lauderdale, some of the top sides in the league. Just the legs are tired, as she describes it. Tracking back from behind. Rolled back to the goalkeeper. They have their next match on March 29th against Tampa Bay. About 6 days' time after this next Saturday. They'll again get involved in the Super League action. Wolfbauer. Fitch onto her left foot, into the area, chested down, not able to get a shot cleared away. Brooklyn maybe a chance to try and cause some chaos up the field, rolled all the way back to Gay. Good delivery from Fitch. Gay will restart the build from the very back. Over the top, in behind, a chance here, clipped over the goalkeeper, and an equalizer. Out of nothing from back to front, and Gianna Gurley has another one, making it 1-1 between DC and Brooklyn.
Well, and there's some genius in her starting position because she starts a little bit deeper in midfield, and it's almost like players just lose track of her movement. It doesn't look like much is going to come out of this, but she is always ready, and her first touch on finishing has been unbelievable as of late. She just lets this continue to run. She knows Purcell is out. All she has to do is beat the goalkeeper up and over. She does just that. And this is incredibly hard to do on the one touch in stride, but she executes.
So Gianna Gurley now with 3 goals this season. A goal in 3 games, an assist in another. She has come into massive effect, and it's 1-1 between the sides with 6 minutes to go, all to play for now. It's a free kick now for Brooklyn. Both teams trying to quickly compose themselves and try and create something. Kroger will offer the left-footed delivery. Just one in the wall. Towards the back post. Can it be kept in play? No, it can't. Out now for a goal kick.
Well, you definitely got a sense that this was coming in the second half. Brooklyn just not as clear and clean in possession, but give credit to DC. Their mobility increased, their change of shape to a degree in personnel were some good changes here in the second half that at least made it a little bit harder and asked questions of Brooklyn in the attack.
Throw in for Brooklyn. Cleared upfield. Gurley, one goal herself already, trying to shake off the defender. 4 minutes plus stoppage time, expecting a few of it. We've had a pause or two and a bit of a length. Spraying this one across, knotted down. Yango.
Well, we mentioned it earlier, and even though Phil Nana said he didn't really want to have the transitional game, I do think it favors DC to be a little bit more transitional and play long.
And Brooklyn win this ball back. A few numbers against a stretched DC defense. Rolled off, Grabias trying to return the pass, not able to. It's well defended. The forward frustrated. That's going to be a foul. Referee was playing advantage. There's a slight push after the play. That a bit unnecessary. Kelsey Hill and Grace Yango had gotten into coming together. Both coaches making their appeals.
And these are moments you have to be really careful because there's an emotional side of the game. It's the foul coming in there. She was not happy, Kelsey Hill, with Yango, and then the push after the retaliation. But the initial one wasn't called. They were addressing the foul prior, and I don't think our officials saw that entire exchange.
The whistle had gone for a foul just a moment before that. A competitive match, Hill booked.
A yellow card cross has been issued by the referee to Brooklyn FC number 24.
Here's Bagley.
In the 88th minute.
Yango. Offside. Flag goes up. Towing that last line of the defense.
Well, it's one of those things. They've had a lot of offside in this game, but look at the goal that's scored. It's timed perfectly. It's a ball in behind, and so you can have a lot of those. You just need one to be well timed, and that's what Gurley does.
And we're waiting for that ball went over the top for that flag to go up. We've seen it happen so many times today, but it was well timed. Both her and Anna Bagley were in the area. Gurley was the one who lifted it over the goalkeeper. Fired forward by Fitch. Ibarra, the target, collected by Purcell. Claire Constant was the player who got the assist on the ball over the top. Yango. Really had stopped her run. Miscommunication there. Garziano lays it off. Moved again towards the back post. There was some half appeals for a penalty. Not listened to. There was a coming together off the ball. That's going to be a free kick against Brooklyn. That's going to be going the way of DC Power.
You can definitely sense some frustration from Brooklyn right now. There's a reaction to every single call that's going on. It's like you can tell how much they want this. They didn't get that call when Diorio came in hard inside the penalty box. And honestly, Grabias got the first touch on that. It's a little bit reckless from the outside back in that moment.
Very constant. Tussle there with Hope Breslin. They both go down. Looks like Hope Breslin was booked. We'll get you confirmation of that in just a moment. We've entered into stoppage time. There was a ball over the top here. Personal off her line, and she will get there before Gurley can try and get in over the top. 3 minutes added on at the end of our match. 2.5 still to play for either side to try and find what would surely be a winner. Breslin will leave this one after a free kick given for Brooklyn. The shot towards goal, over frame. It's a goal kick now for DC Power. If it stays like this, KC, who is this point better for, if anybody?
I don't know if it's better for either one, to be quite honest with you, but you can sense the frustration from Brooklyn because they did have such a dominant first half. I think they really are searching for those 3 points. You can even tell by their reaction here, trying to go forward, be more direct, and really search for that game winner. I think they're going to be the ones that are a little more disappointed with the tie.
They held the lead for a good portion of the match. 22nd minute, goal from Mackenzie George. The ball forward by Gurley, the player who equalized in the 84th minute. Throw in for DC. Brought down. Is there one last chance in this match for either side? Brooklyn not able to keep that ball in play. It's a throw in for the hosts, DC. Gurley just drops one over the top for Ibarra to chase. Back to Purcell. Pushed out wide, the touch. Capitalized on, Yango drops it into play. Stepping across, Pentuso gets there. Clears it upfield. Brought down by Grabias, steps past one challenge. We've had the 3, maybe the final seconds of this match. Lays it off. Moving inside, trying to return to Grabias, cleared out. No corner will come. We're out of time. It's a 1-1 draw between DC Power FC and Brooklyn FC.
And I think DC has to be very happy. They made some adaptations in the second half, made Brooklyn a little bit more uncomfortable, and I think that's something that they're going to be very proud of. And for Brooklyn, a little bit frustrating because at times in this game, they did look completely dominant, especially in possession.
Finishes 1-1 between these two sides. Shots well favoring Brooklyn, 14-5 in that department. But just able to get the decisive moment late from Gianna Gurley. These teams looking ahead to matches. Brooklyn will head back home against Tampa Bay later on in March. DC Power, a road trip for them coming up at Dallas Trinity. But it finishes with a 1-1 draw between these two sides after a hard-fought affair between the two teams. We're joined now by Gianna Gurley, who scored that equalizing goal late on in the match. Gianna, thank you very much for the time. Congrats on your goal. Just what did you see in terms of that move that led to your goal?
Yeah, I felt like I was having
having to come down a lot during just the whole game to get the ball. And Phil talked to me and Claire and Wolfie at the break when we had an injury and just said to stay high. And yeah, it worked. She saw me and it was a goal.
I thought there were wonderful adaptations to the second half from your group. What did you see from the team that you were most proud of in the evolution of the game?
Yeah, I feel like we stayed in it. You know, we've conceded a lot of early goals and we've had to come from behind. So we listened to the tactics that Phil had, and he's always super great with it. And yeah, we just produced, but obviously it's a tie. So we want to shoot for the win and just keep going from here. So back to the drawing board.
Just for you, 4 games now, you've either scored or assisted in all 4 of them. Just how have you enjoyed life now in DC?
Yeah, it's been great. The teammates have welcomed me with open arms, so it's been great. I enjoy playing with them, but again, just have to get the result. And yeah, we keep fighting for each other, and I think that's the biggest part. So,
thank you very much for the time, Gianna. Congratulations on your goal.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
1-1 draw between DC Power FC and Brooklyn FC. On the other side of this break, we'll round it all out with full-time highlights and stats from Audi Field. DC Power and Brooklyn FC fighting to a 1-1 draw at Audi Field. Jack Edwards, Casey White here with you to round things out from the nation's capital. Let's show you the key moments of the game with our full-time highlights. We go first to the 22nd minute, a move that starts at the very back and it ends in a Mackenzie George goal.
Well, Sydney Martinez in goal did extremely well in build-out in the first half before coming off at halftime. Mackenzie George in combination with the Monty finds Grace Philpotts on this left flank, drives in line, and Mackenzie George, continuing her run, started the entire play in her own defending third and is the recipient of this ball coming across, slotting it away for the goal.
Rewarded for that effort. Maybe one of the easier goals she'll score this season, but that's what running from end to end gets you sometimes. Another chance here in the first half for DC. They had some half chances, a really good set piece move here.
This was a good opportunity for Anna Bagley. Not enough power on it. She lifts it, makes it an easier save for Sydney Martinez than it needs to be, but that was really all that they would generate. Then you get into the second half in the 84th minute. A long ball over the top by Constant, and it's Gurley with the first touch finish. Very nice to get it up and over Niku Purcell for the equalizing goal.
Gurley was told to stay up top by Phil Nana, and a break they had, it paid off to big effect. Full-time stats here, 14-5, the shots favoring Brooklyn, who both teams really felt they were frustrated with the draw there.
It did seem like both teams were frustrated. Yes, DC Power maybe a little less so because they did come back from a goal down, but I think for Brooklyn it's the efficiency, the shots on target, only 4 out of the 14 going on target, and that can be incredibly hard to put away games when that occurs.
To round things out, looking at the standings, and this might say why the draw doesn't really benefit either team, neither team able to move a spot because of the 1-point share.
Well, DC Power does stay at the bottom. They had the chance to hop Lexington with 3 points potentially. Brooklyn doesn't have the games in hand, and everyone around them does, so 3 points could have been incredibly crucial for them, not only in standings, but also in form.
They go joint top of the table with Fort Lauderdale United. DC Power stay bottom of the table after a really hard-fought draw between both teams in Washington, D.C. A pleasure to share this one with you. One more game today in the Super League, Lexington and Carolina. But for my broadcast partner, Casey White, I'm Jack Edwards saying so long from Audi Field. The full-time score, DC Power FC 1, Brooklyn FC 1.